Yeah, he said that you didn't give him the ball enough, that you were shooting too much.
I think he had plenty of opportunities. Philosophically, that relationship was never going to work.
All the way up, come on, push it, go another one more, come on, push it. Lock it, lock.
Dwight David Howard II, born December 8, 1985. Last year, the NBA released a list of the 75 greatest players in NBA history. Shockingly, Dwight Howard was not included on that list, but a guy like Damian Lillard was. Some people see a guy like Dwight Howard in 2022, and you see a big man that has a squared style about him, meaning there's no real finesse to his game, and his movements are all north, south, east, or west. A traditional big man that doesn't quite fit today's NBA. Add to that, it always seems he gets in the most awkward of feuds on and off the floor at times that doesn't make him seem too much of a likable guy, especially seeing as for the last 4 years or so, he's been an end of the bench guy, cheering on the side with weird hairstyles and street clothes that rarely gets in the game. Crazy because in his prime, Dwight Howard was the exact opposite of those things. First off, the media loved him during his time in Orlando. Unlike guys you see today doing anything to avoid a strong media presence, Dwight didn't act like media were peons or beneath him or a blown high to his day. He smiled, laughed, joked, and gave the media his best. Seeing as a lot of the media vote for lists like these, it's shocking they've turned on him presently. Dwight Howard, after winning a championship in LA, on paper alone looks like something out of EA Sports. To give you verbal perspective on how good Dwight Howard was in his heyday, I remember when they called him Superman and no one really had a problem with it. Well, almost no one.
In this thing of ours, there's only one Superman. Okay. You know that, okay? All right.
Everything else aside, from 2004 to about 2014, Dwight Howard was a premier big man in the league, winning numerous individual awards, but for some reason, he doesn't get the credit. Here are 3 reasons why, unfortunately, from maybe the last superstar traditional center of our times, growth was stunted. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man. Dwight Howard is a 6'10" center from Atlanta, Georgia that was built to be an athlete. More than that, he was built to entertain. Known for his joyous smile and having fun, some would say a little too much. Since high school, Howard, who began a serious basketball journey at 9 years old, was ahead of his peers. With the pedigree his athletic mother and father gave him, he caught on quickly and became the leader of his Southwest Atlanta Christian Academy school all 4 of his high school years. At that age, Dwight wanted to be a point guard. He developed quick feet and could handle the ball a bit until his true skills were realized, and he decided to become a traditional big man. By his senior year, his games looked unfair. Imagine a guy out there averaging 8 blocks a game, along with 25 points and 18 rebounds. He led his team to a state championship that year and was the player of the year all across the board. He was also a McDonald's All-American, where he won the game's MVP along with J.R. Smith. Howard was heavily recruited to say the least and envisioned himself starring for his hometown Georgia Bulldogs before deciding to go straight to the NBA. Stunt number 1, leaving the Orlando Magic. Dwight Howard entering the draft was the clear-cut number 1 pick, so the decision to skip college made sense, and in hindsight, he was ready. In a reoccurrence of fate, the Orlando Magic wound up with the first overall pick in 2004, just like they had in 1992 when they selected Shaquille O'Neal number 1, who, like Dwight, would also leave Orlando for similar reasons. Orlando had become too small a pond for a large fish. At least one that aspired to be. Howard came in and began a 14-year straight double-double average as a rookie, but just missed out on a legacy-changing Rookie of the Year to eventual bust Emeka Okafor, but became an all-star and top 10 player in the league by years 3 and 4, leading the league in rebounds by his 4th year and first 2010 season. Quickly, the pond got smaller for Howard, who enjoyed being the man in that pond for long enough to fuel his confidence. His brand was growing with his numerous endorsement deals and potential with his personality, and on the court, he was looking like a future Hall of Famer. Orlando was getting better each year and even went to the finals behind Howard's great play on offense and defense, and looked like a franchise that could be saved on the back of their new Superman, a name he fully took on after winning the 2008 All-Star Slam Dunk Championship. With the right added piece, the Orlando Magic were right on the doorstep of winning its first NBA championship. But then, LeBron James's decision.
In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach.
Was it always in your plan to go and play with Dwayne Wade?
I can't say it was always in my plans because I never thought it was possible.
In a monumental move by the league's greatest superstar since Michael Jordan, LeBron James shocked the world by joining forces with the second and arguably third best players in the conference in Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh in Miami. This can't be exactly proven, but to me, this was the move that uprooted the idea of superstars staying home and winning organically to now what it's come to, with the idea of greener pastures on the other side, and if you don't win now, your career failed. That one move, LeBron had that much power. All of a sudden, everyone was moving around. Howard, who already was his own big fish down in Orlando and thinking of a move to add on to his growing brand, needed nothing more than to see LeBron leave, become hated, then win in just his second year and become loved again to decide to leave the Magic and the East Coast where he had such success. Like Shaq, he left Orlando for one of the biggest sports and entertainment markets in LA, but unlike Shaq, things didn't go in a positive direction. With Kobe already the star he wanted to be, and years after winning his 5th and last championship, he didn't embrace Dwight like he had to with Shaq, being he was a rookie and O'Neal was already a multiple-time All-Star. The two immediately bumped heads as their personalities clashed and didn't lead to winning, with the Lakers swept in the first round in Dwight's lone year there. He wound up leaving unceremoniously, with Kobe basically shooing him out the door. His career hasn't been the same since. It's like he lost his luster as Kobe basically disowned him as a Laker in interviews, along with his confidence it seems since then. Stunt number 2, space and pace. The era changed. With the three-point shot becoming much more prevalent by and throughout the 2010s, along with much more dynamic guards that were a lot quicker and more athletic than in the 2000s, the traditional slow big man without great footwork, not the best shape, or even shooting capabilities couldn't keep up. Teams weren't back to the basket, make sure it touches the post first like we were taught young anymore. It was shoot as quick as possible, ball movement, constant moving, out on the break, switch everything, and anyone shoots from wherever by the time Dwight was unsure about his future. Being the exact opposite of what the game became by skill set, Howard was being phased out, just as he mentioned in his recent Bleacher Report interview, just as he was phased out of the 75th anniversary team. They forgot all about the insane accomplishments Howard had early on, before the era where his skills were no longer needed. He went on to play and clash with James Harden reportedly and deal with knee injuries that hindered his play in his second year with Houston, playing only 41 games. That year, ironically, they went their furthest, losing in the Western Conference Finals. His play dwindled every year since leaving Orlando, as every year space and pace of the game increased. Stunt number 3, never developing a mid-range to three-point shot. One thing that could have helped Dwight not become a phased-out dinosaur was developing a jump shot, one of the tools the phase-out used to get past players like him. But that's a lot easier said than done. For Dwight, what made him great was exactly what hindered his development as a shooter, or at least a big that could space the floor out to 17 feet and clear driving lanes. He was too strong. Whenever your muscles develop far past your natural touch, things like 7 to 9 pound balls are impossible to steer accurately. Maybe if he played football or wrestled, things involving hitting, throwing, grabbing, or lifting, he'd be fine. But a finesse, graceful, limited contact sport like basketball, not to mention the delicate motion it takes to shoot one, Howard could never be a good shooter. Because of this, he was now one-dimensional, a dimension the league had already figured and phased out. He became a journeyman since Houston, eventually returning to the Lakers in 2019 in a last effort to win, and did behind LeBron James and Anthony Davis. On paper, it reads champ, but we all know that had nothing to do with Howard, who averaged 5 points and 4 rebounds those playoffs. Had he somehow added a jump shot, he'd still be a viable piece to a team today with his defensive and athletic ability. All in all, Dwight Howard was still a great player. His career in total was indeed a success and lived up to the expectations he had leaving high school. But for these reasons, it could have been a lot better. Salute, much respect. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.